On the night of September 8th, 2017, a young woman, full of life, headed out for a night with friends, but hours later, her family is searching frantically, and her story turns into one of the most mysterious and haunting cases of recent years. This is the tragic story of Kenneka Jenkins, her life cut short under circumstances that still don't add up. Was it an accident? A reckless party gone wrong? Or is there something darker at play? Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. If you're new, I cover true crime cases while playing cozy games in the background. If that kind of sounds like your vibe, feel free to like and subscribe or leave a comment. It really helps more people find these cases, and it helps me be able to make more videos. So today I'm going to be playing House Flipper 2. Okay, so I've played House Flipper 1, but I haven't played House Flipper 2 yet, so this will be really interesting. So I'm going to be going room by room, cleaning things up and making it feel warm and cozy again, all while we talk about a case that is a little bit opposite. So today I'm going to be talking about the case of Kenneka Jenkins. She is a 19-year-old who went missing after a hotel party and was later found in a walk-in freezer under really suspicious circumstances. Her story left behind way more questions than answers, and we're going to walk through everything that happened. Alrighty, so this is the story of Kenneka Jenkins. So we're going to start with who was Kenneka Jenkins, give you a bit of background on who she was. So Kenneka Jenkins was 19 years old, as I said, from Chicago. Her family and her friends always said she had this big, bright personality. She was funny, she was smart, and she was full of love. She just started working at a nursing home, which she was really excited about, and she was getting ready to start college as well. So she was really focused on building her future. Her mum, Teresa, described her as the type of person who could walk into a room and instantly make people smile. So I thought that was really sweet. She was goofy, she was loyal, and she was really close to her family. Kenneka was not just a headline or a conspiracy, okay? She was someone's daughter, she was someone's friend, she was someone who deserves to be remembered that way. I'm going to move on to what happened to Kenneka the night of her disappearance. On the night of September 8th, 2017, Kenneka told her mum she was going out with some friends to celebrate getting her new job at the nursing home. So the plan, according to her, was to go bowling and grab something to eat. I did also read something that said that she planned on going to the movies. But anyway, the plan was to do something fun with her friends, basically. But that is not where they ended up, unfortunately. So instead, Kenneka and her group went to the Crown Plaza Hotel in Rosemont, Illinois, for a party on the 9th floor. According to the friends Kenneka arrived with, the group had been partying in room 926 at the Crown Plaza. There was drugs, there was alcohol, obviously, marijuana, all that sort of thing, as you would expect from a party. A Facebook Live video of the party later went viral, with viewers pointing out slurred speech among partygoers, odd sounds in the background, and Kenneka's reflection in someone's sunglasses, sparking rumors that she was in distress even then. But we'll get into that a bit more later. At some point after midnight, they noticed that Kenneka seemed really out of it. Kenneka wasn't the type to drink normally, so her mum said that a couple of drinks would be enough for Kenneka. She would be, she was a lightweight basically. She was stumbling, slurring, and struggling to stay on her feet. So around 3 a.m., her friends said Kenneka wanted to leave the party. So the three of them left the hotel room together and they got into an elevator. But when they reached the lobby area, they all realized that Kenneka has left her phone and car keys in the hotel room. So the two friends actually decide to leave Kenneka behind on her own and went back into the party to retrieve Kenneka's belongings for her. Except when they returned back to where they left Kenneka, Kenneka was gone. So instead of immediately calling for help, her friends reportedly spent the next hour or so looking for her on their own. They were walking around the hotel, checking elevators and bathrooms. By around 4:30 in the morning, Kenneka's friends called her mum, Teresa, and told her that Kenneka had gone missing at the Crown Plaza. They didn't give a lot of details. They just said that they'd lost her and that they were worried, basically. Teresa did not wait around for very long. By around 5 or 6 a.m., Teresa showed up at the hotel herself, and she began asking staff to check the surveillance footage. But the hotel did refuse. They told her that it was hotel policy, and she needed to file a missing persons report. So she did. She called 911. She explained everything, but even then, the police didn't really treat it like it was an emergency. They told her just to sort of wait it out and see if Kenneka turned up home. I will insert the 911 phone call just so you can have a listen.
911, where's the address of your emergency?
Yes, I'm at the Crown Plaza at O'Hare Airport, and I was calling because my daughter came to a party here last night, a gathering with her friends, and now her friends, they said that they left on the front of the hotel, and she's not able to be found now. She's 19 years old.
And you said that and you said the Crown Plaza at O'Hare Airport?
Yes. Yes, and they said that when her friends was asking earlier today, like about 4 o'clock in the morning, because they run the video cameras, they said that they didn't have no cameras.
Do you think it's possible maybe she went to one of her friends' houses, or, she's probably...
No, actually, because she had my car. She was driving my car. I don't like nobody to drive my car because my insurance will not pay for nobody. My daughter, she was with 3 of her friends, but her 3 friends said, which then, these kids won't tell the truth. They said that they went upstairs to get her cell phone. And when they went to get her cell phone, she was standing in the lobby, in the front lobby. And then when they came back down, she wasn't there anymore.
No, I completely understand.
East of Government Entryway,
the one issue we have, and it's not necessarily that it's an issue, but she is an adult. She is 19 years old, and again, she's only been gone for a couple hours. She's, I don't know, maybe she's, she could be somewhere with one of her friends or something, because I mean, it is only a couple hours since you hadn't seen her, correct? Or since her friends supposedly hadn't seen her?
Correct. Let's say about 3 to 4 hours now, they said. They told me.
Are you looking to file a missing persons report then, or are you just... Or would you... I'm sorry, go on ahead.
I'm so sorry, sir, but I just want to know, is it possible that maybe they can look at the cameras and see it's because they send the police out here and ask them to look at the cameras and see if they've seen her on their cameras around that time?
I was about to say, even if I did send an officer, it would take a little bit in order for us to get the camera footage and for us to pass it on to the detectives division.
Okay. Okay. So what would you suggest?
Well, again, the only thing I would suggest maybe just give her a couple hours. She could have went somewhere with one of her other friends. I mean, and who knows what her friends are saying is true. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's you could tell, not to be saying. You could tell it don't sound right. I'm a parent. I've been young before, and it's not sounding right. It don't sound right. Period. That's why I came out here myself.
No, yeah. Well then, so that in that case, what I would recommend, just go home, relax a little bit, give it some time. Of all we know, she very well could still be in the room. She could just be passed out. Again, you know how it is. You drink it the night before, you get, you know what I mean, whatever else have you. So just give it a couple hours. Maybe see if she'll get a hold of you again. I mean, does she know your number?
Yes, she know my number very well. She's very smart.
Okay, well then, like I said, just give her a couple hours. You know what I mean? Give her some time. Again, maybe she went to one of her other friends' places, or maybe she is still in the room. Just knocked out. You know what I mean?
Yes, I thank you. Okay, and so how long does it take for me to file a missing person report?
Well, you can file it at any time. It just, like I said, just give it a little bit of time. If you hadn't heard from her by, I want to say about 10, 11 o'clock, then by all means, give us a call again. You can come to the station, and we can help you out from there.
Teresa knew, she felt in herself that something was wrong. So she started searching the hotel room herself again, walking up and down the halls, knocking on doors, asking strangers if they had seen Kenneka. It wasn't till around 10 p.m. on September 9th, so this would be almost 19 hours after Kenneka was last seen, that hotel staff finally began reviewing the surveillance footage. This only happened after Teresa Martin, out of sheer desperation, began going door to door through the hotel herself, knocking on rooms, asking strangers if they had seen her daughter. When that didn't get results, she actually pulled the hotel's fire alarm, hoping that this would force people out of their rooms and maybe shake something loose. I thought that this was really smart, actually. I thought that was a really good idea. But instead of helping her, hotel staff called the police on her. Hotel staff called the police on Teresa Martin. So only then did officers actually return to the scene. Not because they were investigating Kenneka's disappearance, but actually because her mother was causing a disturbance while trying to find her own daughter. So she had spent the entire day at the hotel, literally begging anyone to help. She'd already filed a missing persons report, and she had searched the hotel herself, and pushed for them to check the cameras. And until that point, no one had taken it seriously, really. Once they did finally look, the footage showed Kenneka alone, wandering the hotel in a clearly disoriented state. The clips are quite difficult to watch. She stumbles through the hallways, bumping into walls and furniture. She's clearly unable to walk straight. She's barely staying on her feet. At times, she's even holding herself up with railings, and even looks like she might fall over. So at around 3:32 a.m. that morning, Kenneka is seen on cameras entering the lower level kitchen area of the hotel. This was not part of the guest areas. It was an unused kitchen located near a back hallway. I did read somewhere that it was a kitchen that was waiting in preparation for a restaurant that was opening soon. But at the time of this event, it was not being used. So this area was typically only accessed by staff, and that is the last confirmed footage of her. There is no video showing her going into the walk-in freezer because the security camera in the kitchen didn't cover that specific angle, conveniently enough. But just after midnight at 12:24 a.m. on September 10th, a hotel employee found her body inside of the freezer. The freezer was on and functional, even though the kitchen was not being used. The temperature inside was well below freezing. The freezer door was heavy, and although it could be opened from the inside, the questions were raised on how Kenneka, in her state, managed to get in there. So now I'm going to get into the autopsy and the toxicology report. So police later ruled her death as accidental, citing hypothermia as the cause. The toxicology report found alcohol in her system, along with topiramate, a medication that she had not been prescribed. So from my research, I found out that topiramate is typically prescribed to treat epilepsy. So it's to prevent seizures, basically. It's also prescribed for migraines, to reduce the frequency and the severity. Sometimes it's prescribed for off-label for things such as bipolar disorder, nerve pain, or weight loss. So it works by calming the overactive nerve activity in the brain, but it also comes with strong side effects. By itself, topiramate can cause drowsiness or fatigue, dizziness, confusion, impaired coordination, trouble concentrating or speaking, slowed reaction time, and obviously when it's combined with alcohol, these effects are going to become way more intense. So the combination can sharply increase confusion, impaired balance, and motor skills. It can increase the risk of hypothermia, blackouts or accidents, and these side effects are very clearly visible in the surveillance footage. It is still unclear whether Kenneka took this willingly or if someone has drugged her at the party. But despite all of that, authorities insisted that there was no sign of foul play, and to this day, that conclusion doesn't sit right with a lot of people, including Kenneka's family and much of the public. So as you can see, I have finished this mission. So now I'm going to get into some sort of evidence investigation-y kind of stuff, and some like sort of conspiracies and mismatched information. So now I'm going to go into the man who claims that he saw Kenneka actually enter the freezer. So the person who discovered Kenneka's body was a hotel employee by the name of Martin, I believe. He was the one who went into the unused kitchen around 12:24 a.m. On September 10th and found her lying face down in the walk-in freezer. Later, during questioning, Martin claimed that he had seen her on surveillance footage walking into the freezer, but that's where things start to get weird because no such footage has ever been released to the public. So in fact, the official security footage released by the Rosemont Police Department only shows Kenneka walking into the kitchen, and then the camera angle cuts off. So there's no footage showing her physically entering the freezer itself, which left many people questioning, did the hotel employee really see that footage? Maybe was he mistaken or even covering something up? So it's never really been clarified whether that footage does exist or not. But then there's the question of how she even got into the freezer and into the kitchen in the first place. So that area of the hotel was under construction at the time. It wasn't being used for food service, and it wasn't part of the guest accessible space. So some reports said the kitchen should have been blocked off with employees only signs or barriers. So how did Kenneka, who was clearly intoxicated and disoriented, wander into a restricted staff area without anyone noticing? Was the door unlocked? It must have been. Was the hallway left open? Should the kitchen have been secured? Definitely. The freezer itself, where her body was found, was in a full working order. It was powered on below freezing and located deep within the kitchen space, which I don't know why the freezer was on and functioning when the kitchen itself was not functioning. Guests had no reason to be there, and it should have been blocked off. To this day, the public has never been shown the final moments of what happened after she stepped into that kitchen, and for a lot of people, the missing footage feels like more than just a coincidence. So now I'm going to get into some public theories. These get a little bit crazy, okay? So since the very beginning, people haven't accepted the official story about what happened to Kenneka Jenkins. And honestly, it's not hard to see why. There were so many gaps, so many things that didn't add up, and those gaps became the fuel for theories that spread like wildfire online. So one of the first things that people questioned was the delay. Kenneka's mum, Teresa Martin, was at the hotel within hours of her daughter's disappearance. She begged staff to check the security footage. She filed a police report. She searched the hotel herself, but no one took real action until nearly 10 p.m. that night, almost 19 hours later. And when they finally checked the cameras, Kenneka had been visible the whole time on tape, stumbling into that back kitchen area at around 3:32 in the morning. So people asked, if she was on camera that clearly, then why wasn't she found sooner? And then there's the footage itself. So the hotel had dozens of surveillance cameras, I think over 40 throughout the building, and yet not a single clip was ever released showing her physically entering the freezer. We do see her walking through the halls, we see her stumbling into the kitchen, and then the footage just ends. The freezer is literally right there around the corner, but it's just outside the camera's view. So that missing moment, the one that could prove whether she went in alone, has never been made public. And then we get to the Facebook Live video that I mentioned earlier. So one of the girls she was with streamed part of the party on Facebook, and it quickly became a lightning rod for internet theories.
What y'all can do? Is that the money for me? Check it out. Yeah.
People slowed it down, ran it through audio filters, picked apart every frame. Some viewers swear that they can hear Kenneka's voice in the background, whispering, "Help me." Others claim to hear a struggle, like metallic clanging and muffled crying. The lighting, the sunglasses, reflecting things in the room, it all became part of this growing obsessive analysis. So, police never confirmed any of these. They said that the video wasn't evidence of anything, but to people watching from the outside, it just didn't feel right. And then there's the freezer. Okay, so it wasn't some flimsy little fridge. This was a big commercial industrial grade walk-in freezer. So with a heavy insulated door that takes sort of a real pull to open it, you know. Kenneka could barely walk in the surveillance footage. She was visibly out of it. So people started asking, how did she manage to open that door in the first place? And even more confusing, how did she end up in that kitchen at all? It was an unused area under construction, like we said. Some believe that she was even led there. Others think that someone may have followed her, but no one can say for sure because no camera ever caught anyone else with Kenneka. And then came the toxicology report. So netizens pulled apart this toxicology report bit by bit, as you can imagine. Kenneka's blood showed both alcohol and topiramate, the strong anti-seizure medication. Her family said that she was not prescribed it, and that she didn't take this regularly. So how did it get into her system? That obviously opened the door to another theory that maybe she was drugged at the party without her knowledge. So when mixed with alcohol, topiramate causes confusion and blackouts and loss of motor control, which can explain why she was so out of it in the footage. But it also raises more questions like who gave it to her, or did she take it intentionally? And then, like with any viral mystery, of course, the theories got much, much darker. Some people online began speculating even about organ trafficking, pointing to vague claims about missing body parts or inconsistencies in the autopsy. So the theory goes like this, okay? That Kenneka didn't simply walk into that freezer and die accidentally, but was targeted, possibly at the party or inside the hotel, for the purpose of harvesting her organs. Some people pointed to the fact that her autopsy report took longer than expected, or that there was inconsistencies in how it was written. Others claimed that certain organs were missing from the report, or that her body had been tampered with. These claims weren't backed by official medical findings, but they did gain traction because of the long delay in finding her, the lack of footage, and the secrecy around the investigation. And of course, you know, for a lot of people, the idea that something had been covered up, whether by the hotel or law enforcement or someone higher up, felt much more believable and exciting than the idea that just a healthy 19-year-old girl just accidentally froze to death in a hotel freezer. Others believe that the hotel itself did cover something up, either to protect themselves legally or to avoid bad publicity. They think footage might have been edited or deleted, or that the investigation was rushed to bury the truth. Now, to be clear, there's no confirmed evidence for any of these claims. But, you know, when the official explanation feels shaky and the people involved don't seem to have answers, conspiracies do start to thrive. And in Kenneka's case, they absolutely exploded across YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, TikTok, everywhere, okay? Not just because people love mystery, but because so many people felt that this young woman was failed at every level by her friends, by the hotel, by the police, by the system. You know, to many it feels like it's not just a case, but instead it's a cautionary tale about who gets taken seriously in the system and who doesn't. So, in the weeks after Kenneka's death, Teresa organised rallies, marches, and public protests outside the Crowne Plaza Hotel. She called for a full investigation, demanded access to all security footage, and urged police to question her daughter's friends more thoroughly. Her grief was not quiet, and neither was her fight. But from the hotel side and from city officials, the response was very cold. The case was officially ruled as an accident. They claimed there was no foul play, no liability, and no one at fault. The Rosemont Police Department closed the investigation. The Crowne Plaza Hotel issued statements expressing sympathy but denied any wrongdoing. In 2018, Teresa Martin filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the Crowne Plaza Hotel, its parent company, and the security firm on duty that night. So the suit alleged negligence, arguing that hotel staff failed to properly secure the freezer, respond to warning signs, or help a clearly distressed guest in a timely manner. The legal battle went on for years, but then in late 2023, the case reached a settlement. Kenneka's family was awarded just over $10 million. Of that, her mother received approximately $3.7 million, and smaller amounts went to two other family members, along with $1.5 million in attorney's fees and funeral costs. But for Teresa, this wasn't about money, and it never was. It was about accountability, about the fact that her daughter walked into a hotel full of people and didn't come out alive. And the people responsible for that space, the people whose job it was to protect guests, failed her. Kenneka was only 19. She had a job, plans for school, a close family, and instead of answers, her mother got silence, delays, and denials. So Teresa kept speaking out, and even after that settlement, she continued to say what so many people feel, that this case doesn't feel solved. So this case is frustrating because there are just so many gaps, so many delays, so many things that don't sit right. To this day, no one has ever been charged, and Kenneka Jenkins' death is still officially listed as accidental. But a lot of people are still asking questions, because when you really sit with the facts like I have, and the timeline and the lack of answers, nothing about this really does feel accidental. And it's a tricky one. It really is. And as for the game, there's something sort of weirdly comforting about making a messy little house feel safe again while we're talking through something as heavy as this case. So if you've made it this far into the video, I'd love to hear your thought. What do you think happened to Kenneka Jenkins? Do you think the official story explains it all? Or do you think that there's still more that hasn't been told? Leave a comment. I genuinely want to hear what you think. And I'll be down there reading and replying, because honestly, I don't know what to think. I think it could have been accidental. It's a combination of suspicious and horrible things. Her mother, Teresa Martin, is still fighting to keep her daughter's name alive, and every share, every conversation, and every bit of awareness does help. Also, if you'd like to keep discussing cases like this or just hang out in a cozy corner of the internet, feel free to join my Discord server. We talk true crime, spooky mysteries, comfort games, whatever keeps the brain fed and the vibes comfy. The invite link is in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it. It really helps more people find these stories and lets me keep creating content that sits at the intersection of empathy, curiosity, and cozy chaos. I'd also love to hear any cases you'd like me to cover in a future video. Well, thanks for spending some time with me today. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time. Bye!